Good morning, peeps. So there's a few things that I'm going to speak about in brief today. Firstly, my chapter number 10 is finished-ish, and it's in the link in the description down below. I may be putting more of those old videos up. Because I have about 4,000 of them, so I could, select a certain few here and there. If those of you want to see more, if you do, then put a comment or two down. I have one video that you'll all remember, those of you that are long-term viewers, and that's the Who Am I? Who am I? Who am I? That video. Now, there's 3 in that little mini-series, because there's the preamble that leads up to it. And the only unfortunate thing about those 3 videos, and it's the only 3 videos it happened to, that it was kind of like I was recording them in the 1920s. Because it wasn't even 780 pixels, it was like about 300, and I don't know, something went wrong with the settings of the camera that day, but I leave all that to the universe, and there was probably a reason in there for it being so, somewhere. And so if you want to, just let me know if you want to see that video, or those 3 videos. So I can put those up. The other thing is speaking about synchronicity again, powerful synchronicities are happening every day. So I'm speaking to this client and friend of mine about the power of our thoughts. Then, I make videos about it, I write about it in my book, and then the next chapter I start on the very next morning in this book is addressing exactly that. The chapter in question is where Jesus is healing the sick, and so Paramahansa Yogananda speaks about how Jesus actually healed people, and it's not miracles per se, people. It's avenues that we all potentially could possess, and he speaks how this healing is made manifest, and it derives out of our belief systems, and we all know how powerful beliefs are. And so if you channel your beliefs, if you channel God consciousness alongside your desires to heal, then there are miracles which can happen. Now, for those of you that are familiar with Joe Dispenza, he's wrote about half a dozen books, and they're all like same size as this. The one that I read and had the greatest impact on me, I read 3 of his books, but the one which is called You Are the Placebo, that is an incredible book. That one speaks about how he healed himself, having broken his back and absolutely destroyed his back. Was told that he'd always be wheelchair bound, but within 6 months of lying in his hospital bed, using his mantras every single day, apparently he completely healed his back, and the bone grew in places where it wasn't before, and all different sorts of things. And so he's living testimony. And in his book, You Are the Placebo, there's many personal accounts of people who have hypnotized themselves, channeled their beliefs and intentions into a certain avenue in relation to their minds and bodies, with miraculous results. So the power of our thoughts. And so I'm doing mantras each day now, 3, 4, 5 times a day. I've wrote certain things on paper and stuck it on the fridge, and this person I'm working with, she has sent me hers, what she wants to change in her life. And they have to be structured in a certain way for them to have the greatest effects. But I read mine out every day, several times, and also hers. She does the same with mine and hers. So we're working together, because this thing, we can actually heal each other at a distance. And it gets complicated, and some people may not have too much of an adherence or belief to that. But I would suggest that it's only down to people's individual ignorance as far as that goes, because when you look into it, you will find that it's actually a thing. And so the very next day I picked up this book then, and I came upon this passage. All habits are mental. They are automatic mental machines that make the performance of psychological and physical tasks easier. Autopilot. Attention is the needle that etches the grooves of mental good or bad habits, recording repeated experiences of actions in the brain. Whenever attention is given to these recordings, they automatically manifest themselves in mental and muscular activity. The bad patterns need to be deprived of their controlling power by the destruction of their ability to haplessly repeat themselves. So we have to change our patterns of thought, because lots of people who suffer from anxiety or depression or lack of confidence and all these sort of things, they have had internal dialogues relating to the same diminishing and repressive demeaning energies that have kept themselves in a low productive state for many years. So we have to stop. First and foremost, we stop those negative thoughts. And some people say, well, that's easier said than done. Well, it's not super easy initially, but it gets easier. And to help us do that, then we supplant those negative thoughts with positive thoughts. So it's all straightforward. You've all heard about it before, positive thinking, yeah? This book was written 1945 or something like this. The guy died in 1952. So this stuff has been around a long time. Willpower and suggestion initiated by others can be useful in destroying mental habits. Willpower can concentrate energy in the brain patterns with healing results. Autosuggestion, implanting in the subconscious mind a positive thought or imagery by concentrated repetition, is useful when one's will is paralyzed by the experience of continued mental disease. When the person to be healed receives a firm thought of healing from one trying to help him, and then makes that suggestion his own by concentration on its manifesting power. So if we know that somebody's working with us, then I will send my positive healing power to them. They will know what I'm sending, because I've given them a copy of my mantras and the things that I'm going to be saying. They will believe that there's power in that, and they will accompany that with their desire to do so also. So they will feel stronger in their determination that somebody's working with them, and then can see the results rather than just being on your own, you know. So this could work in a group. And I suppose it's a little bit similar to Alcoholics or, you know, Drugs Anonymous, where there's a support group there, and you work with each other, giving each other strength and confidence. He can reinforce his own willpower by the suggestion of another's strong will that he be healed. Autosuggestion, which is used in most forms of psychological healing, can revive the diseased, paralyzed will, which then sends energy to the brain, effecting the removal of the destructive pattern lodged in the brain cells. So when we've, you know, the proverbial record stuck, we've been saying the same old things internally, we have dug very deep grooves in our unconscious psyche, and they're difficult to get out of, but it is possible, and first and foremost it entails the patient's desire to change their life and the way they think, and then you implement very basic simple things and you work with somebody, which adds to the power of it, and over time then you can actually change your life and your thoughts, because thoughts are things and all these sorts of things. Mental bad habits will also yield their hold by association with persons who have good mental habits. The timid should associate with the brave, the sensual with those possessing self-control, the restless with those who have meditative habits. Exercise of will power translated into won't power, and staying away from the bad company and environment that feed a specific bad mental habit can starve the life out of the compulsions to behave wrongly. So, I mean, that Indian proverb, you got two wolves, one works with you, the other one works against you. Which one do you feed? It's a no-brainer, isn't it? So we don't feed these negative impulses. And for those of you that are still struggling with it, then, you know, Buddhist affirmations, Buddhist Eightfold Path, Joe Dispenza's You Are the Placebo, and lots of other Bob Proctor stuff. You know, Bob Proctor, he was the one that coined thoughts are things, and so it's all really, really powerful stuff. And how Jesus actually did his healing was that he was concentrating on his will to heal, and also he was working in liaison with God. And so through the natural energy channels of the body, energy passes through our body in a certain route, and so by healing, placing the hands on where the energy is coming out of the right hand, and it's penetrating through the body that you have your hands on, and it's coming out the left hand, and so you have a circuit of healing energy. And so when you place your hands on a body part and you say what your intention is to heal, and then the person that you are healing also agrees and sends their intention to it. For self-healing, well, what I do, if I've got aches and pains and creaks and anything like that, I'll place my hands either side, and I will say my mantras, and I will send cosmic healing power of love and intention, and the creative power of human consciousness. It's our thoughts, people. We should never dismiss that they don't have immense power. So that's that part. Then there is another part which goes like this. It's only half as long. This is about healing at a distance. And so we can send people power, we can send them energy, we can send them healing. It's like this experiment which was conducted in quantum physics. What they did was they had two particles which had a relationship with each other formally. So either you got an electron or a positron or something like this from the same atom, and you separate them, and then you move one and instantaneously the other one moves in the opposite direction. And this works over infinite distances. And what the quantum physicists say is, well, it's like there is only one particle. And so that's then when they say, well, this it's like Indra's necklace, or Indra's necklace, where on every one of these pearls there is a reflection of everything else. And this is why I'm always saying that the world, the universe, the cosmos is a reflection of ourselves, because we're all fractals of it. We're all exactly the same thing. We're made of the same constituencies, just in slightly different order. Yeah? And so once we get into that, then we really can start to change our reality. So absent healing typically involves the principle of autosuggestion. A powerful thought accompanied by vibratory energy is sent by the healer's will to the person to be healed, whose response to that vibration rouses his own latent imagination and will release the healing life force within him. Instantaneously, mental healings are caused when the healer and the person to be healed are perfectly tuned to each other. If the healer is a strong will and imagine power, and the person to be healed has faith in the healer's ability to awaken his will and imagination, then the patient will be quickly healed through his own reanimated life force. The time element in healing arises when either the healer is deficient in his healing power or the person to be healed is not properly receptive to the healer's healing vibrations. Because of lack of faith, karmic restrictions or persistence in bad habits of thought and action whose negative vibrations counteract the positive healing vibrations. So as soon as you don't believe in it, it's almost all over. And so it's belief. That's why belief is so powerful in religion. That's why to have faith is immensely important. If you can have faith in your own body's healing ability, which is a miracle going on here, if you have faith that this body can do it all without the aid of pills and potions, which 99% of the time it can, people. And when we take medication, it's mostly a placebo in any case. What I know from having issues with my back over many years, initially I used to take these anti-inflammatory pills, but over time I discovered that there was never any difference in the duration of the healing whether I took those or didn't. And so what I do now is I don't touch any medication. I do all my own healing through the powers of my mind, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that it actually works. The cosmic energy and its individualized expression as life force in the body is finer than X-rays, and thus has the power to destroy not only physical germs but mental bacteria of evil tendencies and the bacteria of delusion, ignorance that obfuscates the perfection of the soul. So we've got to get rid of our delusions, we've got to get rid of our negative energies, we've got to get rid of our negative thoughts, and we supplant them with positive, and when we do that then we can see incredible results. And so that's where I am now. Chapter 10 was on non-judgment, the power that non-judgment brings about. I'm discussing what Jesus actually meant and what many scholars have studied and tried to work out what Jesus meant. Then looking at judgment across the spectrum of its utility, we can see that judging is important and it is powerful, but it depends when we use it and how we use it. If we are going to judge another person with no positive intention at all, then of course that is bad. If we want to judge a situation or a person's lifestyle and we can offer them some kind, supportive advice, then obviously that is good. And so I just run through all these things, and I run through how I had this huge epiphany one day, how I realized in an instant that judgment was not going to serve me, and it wasn't going to serve anybody else in the vicinity. And so as soon as we all resign ourselves from using judgment, if we look upon each other as being equal, then all of a sudden the whole environment changes. And I then go on to speculate, you know, what would the world be like then if we could achieve that? And so there's the non-judgment thing. Then of course part and parcel with the non-judgment is acceptance, and I speak about how powerful acceptance has been in my life. You see, all the things I'm speaking about, people, I'm not just speaking about them from the vantage of reading about them, because we can all do that. I'm speaking about them from reading about them as well as experiencing them in my own life in a very powerful way. And the reason why I'm writing about them is because I had a knowledge of them prior, and I have an extension of knowledge about them now because I've looked further into them due to the power that they had at that particular time, and I wanted to know what it was, how the power manifests. But there's very, very powerful energy within non-judgment and acceptance, and so I write in depth about those, and they have been really, really powerful in my life. They are now 2 occupants of my house. One room is given to acceptance, another room is given to non-judgment, and so, as I mentioned in a previous video, there are rooms given to compassion, to love, and to all of the opposites of the negatives. So every time we experience a negative, we don't feed that rabid wolf, and in the end that wolf will vacate the vicinity because there's no food, and when that wolf is gone, we clean up shop and then we supplant the wolf that serves us. So that's another metaphor within our house, which is our minds, people, the kingdom of God. In the kingdom of God there are many mansions. Well, that's what I would suggest that means. In my mansion there's been many houses, and each house, like when we look at the house of a particular family, you know, we have the Tudor house and we have the Plantagenet house, and the House of Windsor. You know, these people, they have a house which speaks to their lineage as families, you know, and so it's just metaphors that we can use. But when we look at our houses and we then see that within these houses, our houses, there are renegades, there are wild wolves still roaming free, causing trouble and threatening other helpful wolves, then we have to eradicate those. And how do we do it? Well, we just do it simply by starving them. It's a passive approach. It doesn't entail you know, any level of aggression. It's just a passive approach, and over time then we can get great results from that. So that's the new chapter. The next chapter will probably be on Buddhism, maybe on Buddhism alongside Christianity, looking at both of those ideologies and what is at the root of them, and the deep-rooted similes. There's lots of other sections of chapters that I'm going to be including. They'll start to get a bit more stratified and random, but all important to the main theme of the book, which is becoming closer to God. And what I mean by becoming closer to God is becoming closer to the perfect version of yourself, mostly, because they're the same thing, people. And when we look in these religious scriptures, it doesn't matter whether it's Hindu or whether it's Indian or whether it's Western, Eastern, all these philosophies, they all pertain, of course, to human psychology. And so as soon as we have a handle on our psychology, and then we couple that with philosophy and spirituality And you know, it's kind of like having a quiver where we place our arrows. Well, the more arrows we place in our quiver, then the more endowed we are for battle. Yeah, who are we battling against? We're battling against negative forces. So in this last chapter I'm speaking how negative forces accosted me very, very powerfully, and how I managed to banish them all and raise up many rungs on the ladder in my ascension towards purity. And so it's all good stuff, people. So alongside my videos, I would think that reading the chapters is going to be very beneficial and useful to you. And so there you have it. I've got some reading to do. Then I'm going to continue my day, which basically is working towards God in everything I do. That's to say, seeking out the highest level of perfection as I can, with the tools and construct that I have. I have a human body and a human mind. They are both flawed, and they have a propensity and a tendency to want to go a bit wayward and to do things that are not necessarily conducive to our achieving goals. We learn to live with these, and we curb them the best we can, and it's an ongoing thing. But what I can say is, over the years, 13 years, there is most certainly a different creature here than there was before. There is a vastly higher state of consciousness, and the knowledge of the universe and what I am is incomparable. And so it just goes to show that in time, when we set our intention and we do the work, then we can achieve great things. And so I'll leave that with you today, guys. And let me know if you want that Who Are We trilogy of videos, and I'll upload them.